Wow. I went apple picking this weekend and I got 14 pounds of apples. For the price, this was like the biggest bargain of my life, but now I'm left with tens and tens of apples, and the only way to get rid of them is to bake. So I'm dedicating this entire week to different recipes. And for part one of this little series, we are going to be making invisible apple cake, which I think was like a trending TikTok recipe either this past fall or the year before that. It's essentially just a very light, thin batter and a ton of thinly sliced apples. You mix it all together, the batter, the apples, and you put it into a loaf pan, kind of melt down, they get really tender, and in the slightest bit is it cakey, and it's just an apple lover's dream. So we're gonna make that today. In my big bag, I have a combination of ambrosia apples, royal gala apples, and Honeycrisp. I don't know which is which without giving it a taste, but all three of them are very good for baking. I'm gonna take 6 of these. That literally didn't even make a dent. I think I have like 60 to 70 apples. All of our apples are nice and peeled. Take my mandolin. I'm gonna put this on the thinnest setting to about 1/8 of an inch thick. Once we have all of our finely sliced apples in our large bowl, we can set that aside and work on the batter. The first thing I'm doing is cracking in 3 eggs. And we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of cane sugar. Really don't need much sugar for this recipe because with all those apples and how sweet they are, it's gonna be sweetened just fine. Using my hand mixer, I'm just gonna beat the eggs and sugar together until it's a little bit creamed. And then immediately to this, we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, and just 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We're gonna give this one more mix. And working quickly, we're gonna add all the dry ingredients. A cup of unbleached flour. You can definitely substitute the flour in this recipe if you wanna use gluten-free, whole wheat, spelt, oat, you do you. Got a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. And then for spices, for a little bit more of like a fall flavor, I'm just gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. I don't want this to be too spicy or too overpowering. I feel like the real beauty and delicacy of this dessert is that it really is just apples in a thin batter. Right, and mix very quickly. As you can tell, it's a very thin and glossy, light batter. We're gonna go ahead and add in all of the apples. Looks so good. I decided to sprinkle it with a little bit of demerara sugar on top just to give it a little bit of extra like caramelization, some sugaring. I'm gonna pop this into the oven at 350 for 60 to 75 minutes. Batter obviously has to set and be cooked, so I'm gonna stick a toothpick in at 1 hour just to see where we're at, because with